Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Sirens Streams. Today we have with us Sam Littlefair from Prismic, who is going to be joining us to show us some amazing content with their slices, which I'm very excited to see about. I love talking about pizza and all the things that you can slice up and things that we could do. But Sam, why don't you give a brief introduction of yourself?
Hey, Brittany. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And that is definitely the best part about working at Prismic is thinking about all the different things that you can slice and all the different ways you can slice things too.
Absolutely.
I am a documentation writer at Prismic, and Prismic, we call it a headless website builder. So when we launched it, it was a headless CMS, which is a CMS where the content is delivered via an API. But since then, we've kind of innovated on that and built on that and added more features so that Prismic now, more than just offering content delivery, offers a suite of tools so that you can actually use it as a website builder, but headless in the sense that you bring your own front-end framework and we provide the tools to integrate with the front end so that you can actually create like a drag and drop website builder experience for your content team. And they can build pages and interactive, like really rich content pages.
So is it more like a studio experience? So you get like that low no code kind of feel?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, once a developer has set up a website with Prismic, uh, a content team with no technical experience can, like kind of like a no code builder, build really beautiful pages with really like complex elements and complex page layouts, just using Prismic in that like easy, intuitive no code environment.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to see some of this. Do we want to go ahead and get started with the code?
Yeah, totally. So I'm going to do this all in Stack Blitz.
Perfect.
So I'm going to say, what's the command? SvelteKit.new. I love this. And it just pops
I
up.
know. A brand new like demo SvelteKit app. It's so awesome.
We're going to start from scratch. I'm going to delete everything from this, and I'm going to create a new Prismic repo. So if anybody wanted to, follow along or rewatch this later, this is going to be the whole thing. First, just be patient with me for a second while I delete everything here.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I almost wish it did the skeleton app, but I understand why it does the demo.
Yeah. Do you use StackBlitz a lot?
I don't a ton, but I think this is probably the way that I'm going to start doing demos because I love that it just kind of leaves it there for people and that and it's built up and everything is there already. So I think I am going to start using it more. I'm doing a workshop next week and I'm considering I am actually using StackBlitz. So I'm doing the same thing.
Awesome. I was going to say, my computer fan is going to get really loud, so I'm sorry to anybody who's watching. So,
do you have one of the older MacBooks? It's like notorious for doing that. No, okay, yeah.
I'm not. This is just every MacBook I've ever used has gotten loud.
So I got really lucky. I just switched to Netlify and I got a new M1 MacBook. And at my previous job, I had the one that had came out right before the M1 and its fans were on constantly. I have not heard this M1's fans once. It's crazy. Wow. It's like a completely different machine and they came out like 2 months from each other.
I think I might need to ask for an upgrade then.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm going to call it Svelte Demo Giraffe. So all I've done, I just cleared out the SvelteKit project. What we're going to do is we're going to start from scratch here, and we're going to build like a nice page builder experience with kind of like a cool website.
Awesome.
Just like a simple personal website. And so I'm creating a new repository in Prismic. So this is where you store your content, and it's also like in the back end, Prismic hosts all the content in the Prismic databases. So Prismic is hosted. Unlike if you've ever done like self-hosted WordPress, you don't need to worry about that with Prismic. Prismic hosts it all and delivers it via CDNs. So it's like super performant.
And it looks like there's a free tier. So how big is that free tier? How much can you get off of that free tier?
It's full featured for a production website. I have many production sites or like live sites on a free tier. It's good for one user. So when you want to start collaborating, you can bump up to a starter tier, $9 a
And
month.
even the starter tier is not terrible. Like that's a really good price for multiple users and teams.
Yeah, for a lot of people, you would never need to go beyond that. And especially if you're working alone, you definitely don't need to go beyond the free tier. Like it starts to, there are some features, like I think import export is only available on the higher tiers. But that's getting into kind of like, more niche stuff.
And there is no self-hosted option then?
No, there's no no self-hosting with Prismic. So what we call our document schemas, we call them custom types. So custom type is just a model for a certain type of single type would be like something that you only need one instance of, like maybe a privacy page or a nav menu. Repeatable type is for something that you want to be able to recreate.
Like a component type, maybe? Like when you have reusable components?
Yeah. I mean, especially in the sense that like in a component-based framework, you could have like a page component, right? You would use over and over again. So that's basically what we're doing. We're creating the model for that here. And that's what our custom type is. So the UID is an important property. This is going to generate basically our URL component. Like, I'll show you an example. For the placeholder, we'll put hello world. So when you type in some text here, Prismic will automatically format it as a URL-friendly string and make it unique. So
kebab cased?
Exactly. Kebab cased and unique in the repository or in the custom type. So we'll do that, and then we'll do a title. And that's all we're going to do for the main, this is what we call the static zone. So this is basically like, you could think of it as like the metadata for the document.
Okay.
We're just gonna go with those. And just to show you how the data comes through, I'll just start with that, and I'll create a document with just, let's call it my site. Let's make the UID homepage. I was, so story time. I knew I'm really bad at like chit chat and banter when I'm coding. I just am bad at multitasking.
Sorry, I'm trying to move my camera a little bit.
No, it's okay. Take your time. So I was in the pub. I live in Glasgow, so there's pubs everywhere. I was in the pub a few weeks ago, and I was chatting with some guys at the pub, and they started telling cheese jokes, and they were just full of them. So I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to pull off any like, hey, how's it going? Banter. So I did look up some cheese jokes that I could sprinkle into the conversation. So I've got a few here that I'll just, when I'm struggling, I'll throw these in. What did the cheese say when he saw himself in the mirror?
What did the cheese say when he saw himself in the mirror? I have no idea. I'm trying to think of like the funniest things. I have the same problem. I can't be funny like on cue. I need to prepare to be funny.
Yeah.
Which is not a great kind.
Learning jokes is the perfect way to do that.
Yeah, it is actually.
The cheese said, hello me.
Cheese said what?
Hello me. Like hello me, but like halloumi, the cheese.
I've never heard of halloumi cheese, so I am I don't get it.
Halloumi is the best. It's a Greek cheese that you can grill.
What kind of cheese is halloumi?
It's like hard. It's have you ever had Indian food with paneer in it?
I'm not sure. I don't have Indian food often.
What else is it like? It's kind of like mozzarella, only you can like cook it on like a barbecue, and it's like chewy and salty. It's delicious.
Oh,
okay,
it sounds good. I will have to go look for it and try it now. And sorry, I missed the butt of the joke.
It's okay. Everyone in the chat, let us know if you like the joke. So I'm going to install our dependencies now at prismic.io/. So I'm installing, actually, I'm going to install 4. I'm going to use just my favorite CSS boilerplate, which is called Pico. I'm not a Tailwind guy.
Okay.
So this is just a nice...
what does Pico... I've never used Pico. Is it like it gives you some standard defaults, like a reset kind of?
Yeah, it's basically like a reset with a little bit of boilerplate, like
flavor?
typography and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And I like it. It's simple. It's semantic. So it like, let me see. It like includes just like some basic semantic classes like button input. So it's just nice for just quickly adding some style to something.
Yeah, I do that with open props. I really like open props.
Is that another one?
It uses CSS custom properties, but it has like some nice defaults, and then you can use the custom properties that are already in there.
Oh, cool. So I'm installing 4 dependencies. One of them is Pico, which you can ignore basically. One of them, the first one is Prismic.io/client. So that is how we create our API client to query the API. The next one is Prismic Helpers. That provides a set of methods for rendering data from Prismic in the DOM. And the third one is Prismic Svelte, which includes, well, eventually it'll include components for rendering data from Prismic. Currently, so Prismic Svelte, Brittany, we have launched the alpha in advance of this stream. So thank you for kicking our butts into gear. So this is kind of like the world premiere of the Prismic.io/Svelte package.
Awesome. Can I see the package.json so I can see the actual package name so I can link them?
Yeah.
Okay, so at Prismic.io and then / the other. Okay.
Yeah. And you can see it's just on 0.03. So yeah, the Prismic.io/Svelte is in alpha, and it only includes a component for rendering Prismic slices. So we'll talk more about what slices are in a minute.
Okay.
But so we'll take these in order. We're going to first use the client to query the API. So our syntax is import star as Prismic from Prismic.io/client. And then, so over here, is this the one? Yeah, Svelte demo giraffe. That's what I called my repository. So I'm going to say const repository name equals Svelte demo giraffe. Then const client equals, and then we provide a method prismic.createClient, and you just pass the repository name. So this client will be an object of methods for querying the Prismic API. And then to query the API, it's just one more line, which is const document equals await client. And there's a bunch of different fetching methods here. For now, I'm just going to use get first. And I don't need to pass any arguments. It's just going to get the most recent document from the repo.
I love IntelliSense.
Yeah, it's so cool, eh? And the developer experience team has really put a lot of work into typing and annotating our kits to make it really intuitive. Export let document. So we're getting a document from the shadow endpoint. I love this new shadow endpoint thing.
Yes, you called it shadow endpoint. Yes. So this is my thing. They called it shadow endpoint in the original, like, what do you call it? The call to
RFC or whatever?
Yes, the RFC. So in the original RFC, they called it shadow endpoints. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It sounds magical. It sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed it to page endpoints. And I'm like, how boring is that? So we have to bring back the shadow endpoints. I love it. So that's what I was actually going to point that out, that you're using the shadow endpoint, which means that it's named the same thing as the route, which is why they named it the page endpoints. But
yes, which is probably more intuitive for people. But yeah, I totally agree. Shadow endpoint sounds really cool. I keep getting this error. I'm not sure why. But so I just install escape HTML, and that hopefully will resolve it.
You just installed what?
I've been getting this error that escape
Module is not escape dash HTML.
Yeah, I've gotten it a bunch of times, so I'm just installing it as a dependency, and then I'm just going to restart here.
I'm gonna I'll minimize us so we can see that terminal down there. So you installed it as a dependency on the right side. So maybe is it a peer dependency of one of the Prismic module or packages, and then maybe the version of npm that StackBlitz is using is not grabbing that peer dependency?
That's possible. I should look into that. Maybe I should open an issue on GitHub.
I know at my old job, we had a lot of issues with peer dependencies. And if you didn't have npm over version 7, then the peer dependencies would not install automatically. So it could be an issue.
Okay, that's a great tip. So, yeah. I should probably change this to refresh, or I mean, can I? No, I'm not going to bother with that right now. It's going to throw a lot of errors because it saves on keystroke, but that's okay. So here we're performing our query, and we're returning the document that we get from the repository. Sorry, I'm speaking quickly because I did a dry run of this today, and it took like an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I will let you go because I have to go right at the top of the hour too. So I have a meeting.
Okay. No worries. You can totally cut me off, and we'll just see how far we get with this. What's happening to my syntax highlighting? Oh, there we go. So just to show you, so we've done our query. We've passed the document through the document variable. You can see I'm just printing out the document, the JSON from the document here. And so this is how text is represented in Prismic as an array. So this is the text that we entered here. And this is the metadata for the document, all of that. So if we want to actually display that text on the page, we'll just use the HTML block and say Prismic h.as HTML document.data.title. And there we go. So this is now the title that we're getting from Prismic. However, what we're moving towards doing with slices, so slices are effectively, a slice maps to a component in your project. And how Prismic works is you break your web page into slices, which are elements, like block level elements of the page. And you can make really beautiful slice components to display your content. And ultimately, you can wind up with page components like this index.svelte. By the time we're done, there won't be any actual content in it. It will just contain a slice zone, which renders all of our slices.
Okay.
And so I think it's a really cool design pattern. It'll make more sense as we go. So I'm going to import the slice zone from prismic.io/svelte. So the slice zone is the component.
I think you've got form there. Yep.
Thank you. Slice zone is the component that renders our slice components.
Okay.
And in order for that to work, we need slices. So we'll go back to our custom type. I was debating whether I should do a Bob Ross kind of do the really soft, gentle, okay, so we're just going to create a little slice here.
That is awesome.
Slice to our custom type. A calming kind of before bedtime.
It's like ASMR.
I think that could be a big thing.
It could, yeah. Could start a whole Twitch following on that.
Yes. Let's just start a nice. So I'm creating a slice, and again, each slice belongs to a custom type, and it's basically a collection of data points that you'll use to create a component. An important heading. So I'm just putting in a name. The name is going to get automatically turned into a snake-cased API ID. Choose an icon for it, just for the UI, and then validate it. And then, so here I can add content fields to the slice. So for this one, it's just a subheading. So I'm just going to add a title field, restrict it to an H2, call it text, and we'll say biz bang. So that's all we need for this slice. This is going to be a really, really simple slice. If we go back
to... So is this maybe like a call to action?
This is just literally just going to be a heading. The most simple, just an H2. Just to get us started so we can see what a slice looks like ultimately. Let's say about me. So now the slice zone requires at least 2 properties, and the first is going to be an array of a JSON array of slices from the API. So that's this. It's called the body property, and it is an array of slice components, basically. So you can see this is about me. It's got a primary property, which has the non-repeatable elements. Again, I know I'm using a lot of jargon, but it's going to make more sense. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to give it the slices property, and that is document.data.body.
If I had to guess, the slice zone under the hood is using like a Svelte each template block to render the, yeah, okay.
Exactly, yeah. And then using Svelte elements to, well, we'll get to that.
Oh, yay, like another new thing, yeah. Excited to see that.
You'd have to actually look at the GitHub repo to see that, because we're not going to look at under the hood of the slice zone just yet, today. Slice zone also accepts a Boolean prop, which will just turn on these warnings. And you might recognize that property because it actually comes directly from
a Svelte store.
This is, in fact, we can see.
Yep.
Where is it here? ENV?
Yep.
Oh, that's why.
It's a Svelte store that SvelteKit provides for you.
Yes,
out
exactly.
of the box. Yep.
So this is just a Boolean for development or production. So I'm just putting it here so that we can see these warnings. So we're passing our slice array, and there's a slice from the API called subheading, or with the type of subheading, and we're getting a warning that we don't have a component for the slice type subheading. So we need to start creating our slice components.
So that means a component within the SvelteKit application, not a component or something within Prismic.
Yes, exactly. It's a component that maps to our data from Prismic.
Okay.
So I'm going to call this folder slices, and inside slices, I'm going to create a component called subheading.svelte. And let's just say hello world. And let's import that just so we can see it. Import subheading from lib/slices/subheading.svelte. And then we're going to create a map of our slices components. And we're going to say, we're going to take the API ID, make that the key, and then give it the component. And then we're just going to pass that to the slice zone. And there we go. So we've got this subheading slice, which is being delivered to the slice zone. And then the slice zone is matching that slice with the subheading component and rendering the subheading component. But the subheading component receives the slice data as props. So we say export let slice, and then we can actually see JSON.stringify slice. So we can see we're actually getting the slice data in our slice component. So
and it's getting that from that endpoint in the index route. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you're getting the flow. It comes from the endpoint, the shadow the shadow endpoint gets passed
Goes
to
into the
page
home
component.
route that gets passed to the component.
It gets passed to the slice zone. The slice zone passes it to the component. Yeah. So now we've got the
Okay.
data in this component. And now we're going to start actually rendering that data. So we're going to use Prismic Helpers from @prismic.io/helpers. And this is just a subheading. So I'm actually not going to worry about formatting. I'm just going to take that text and output it as plain text in an H2 tag. So that would be Prismic H.
So you can't do like @HTML, or it won't render as HTML.
Yeah, exactly. I could if I wanted to. I could make this. In fact, I'll do both just so you can see as text slice.primary.text. So primary is just Slice has two kind of sections. There's the non-repeatable section where you put properties that have one instance, and then there's a repeatable section where you can have a group of properties that repeat. So the non-repeatable section is called primary. That's all that is. So there we go. This is our slice. It's now rendering the text about me. And if we wanted to, we could say @HTML Prismic H as HTML slice.primary.
Okay, so it's a different method on that Prismic helper object.
Yes, but it works just as well.
And it's the same thing. Okay.
It's the exact same thing. I'm just outputting it as plain text. I don't know. I feel like it. Yeah. It'll make it easier to add class names later.
Gotcha.
Oops. So we've created our first slice. It's the subheading slice. Let's get rid of all of this JSON. Let's get rid of this so that we've got kind of like a clean component here. And we're just rendering this one slice. Next, I mentioned Pico earlier. Let's make this look a little bit prettier. Let's start adding a little bit of styling. So let's just import Pico from Pico CSS. And this is really cool. I didn't know this. That's all you have to do. And then you get the global CSS.
Yeah, you can do it in that index file, and if you wanted it even more globally, you could use the layout wrapper, the __ layout.svelte file, and wrap it in that to actually use it on your entire application.
Yeah, and if we have time later, I thought we could do that refactor. Cool. I'm just going to copy paste some styles in here. What have I got? I created a little utility class for just aligning things in my layout. So that's what this is. So I'm going to put class layout. That just gives it a little bit of margin, kind of gets it centered nicely, like that. I'm going to change the background color. I'm not psyched about the kind of hue that we get from Pico. So I'm just giving it a little blue. And then I think that's all I need right now. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. We'll see how far we get before. What time is it for you? Is it like 1 o'clock?
It's 12:30 almost for me. So it'll be 1 at the top of the hour.
Okay.
What about
we'll
you?
See how far.
It's later in the afternoon.
It's 5:30 here.
Okay.
So this is the end of my week.
Wrapping your day up. Yeah, it's the weekend.
This is the best way to wrap my week up.
Awesome.
Okay, so this definitely still looks pretty boring. So I'll show you what I want.
As much as an about me page is like what we all wanted in our lives. Oh, look at this. What is this?
This is something that I made a while ago, and I just kind of parked it in CodePen and then forgot about it. And then when I was planning for this stream, I was like, oh, maybe I could use this. It's just this kind of nice, fun effect. And I thought that would be cool. It's also perfect for a slice because it's the kind of thing that you would never want to like code repeatedly. And it does have some dynamic data, like it has this text in it that like you have to inject somehow, which is a bit of a pain. So using Prismic for it is actually a really good use case because it creates a nice separation between like the content and the CSS and the actual rendered stuff. So I'm going to go back to the custom type. And at this point, I should also point out, you'll notice as we're going through this process, we're doing a lot of going back and forth between Prismic and the custom type and the document. And if you follow Prismic at all, you've heard us mention Slice Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you're not, go follow Trost Codes on all the things, front of course. And he talks about it a bit.
100%. So Slice Machine is our new workflow tool, developer tool for creating slices. It's currently available for Next and Nuxt, and we're working on adding other frameworks to it.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Let's call that text.
Oh my, Google. Google with its like URL things where it adds on the analytics to the end of your URL drive me crazy.
Such a headache. Let's call that kapow.
Bam, kapow. This is gonna be like classic Batman where you get like a comic book feel. Bam.
That's what I want, like some excitement.
Yes.
So Slice Machine, this whole process of like going back and forth, Slice Machine streamlines that so that in your project, in your code base, you like run Slice Machine locally on localhost, and it will create the slice components for you. It will give you code snippets for rendering the different data types. You can model your slices and push them to Prismic and manage everything from one centralized place. And everyone who uses it says it's a really wonderful developer workflow. So I'm really looking forward to using that with Svelte. So I'm actually just going to copy paste this this component. So here we've got the warning again. Could not find a component for slice type rainbow text. So all we have to do is create that component and import it. I'm actually just going to copy paste this component because
just to save some time. And
it's save some time. Like you can see there's a bunch of CSS.
There's a lot of CSS. Yeah.
The most important thing to see is we're injecting this variable here, which comes directly from Prismic. That's the text that we're injecting from Prismic. We're injecting it as a variable. And then we use that variable like a few times in the CSS to create that kind of overlay. And then we just do an animation to get it moving in circles. In like three different circles. You could
probably use style props here too to even make this like dynamic in some way.
Style props.
Yeah, so you can use style props like that syntax, that dash text as a prop in Svelte.
Oh,
and change them dynamically. So yeah, you could like improve this maybe for another stream and try that out.
I will definitely look into that. Thank you.
And this was something I was gonna point out earlier is that the components have to be in an object. So you're creating a new object that you're listing out your components into and passing those into the slice zone.
Yes.
Yeah. And does that key match up somehow specifically to that component? Or is that just, what is that key doing?
No, so the key represents what comes from the API.
Okay.
So this is the ID for the slice in the API, but the component could be like, in principle, this could be called anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do kind of have a, what do you call it? Like a syntax kind of loosely where the component name should be Pascal cased and the API ID should be snake cased and they should match. In React, it actually automatically does that conversion. So if you just pass the components, it will automatically, or if I can't remember, but it'll automatically convert it and map them.
So it's a convention that is mapped through the packages. Gotcha.
I can mention. So there we go. We're starting it somewhere. We've got 2 slices now. And we got 25 more minutes. I've got 2 more slices that I want to make.
Cool. I think we can do it.
Okay.
With more copy paste.
That's all we need. It's all about the copy paste. So I'm going to go back to my, and again, with Slice Machine, this would be quicker because you don't have to go back and forth in Prismic. You can just click, new slice, new slice, new slice.
Oh, yeah.
So this one's going to be, obviously we need to put some text on the page. So this one is going to be a text box. Oh, more importantly, I'm going to do more cheese jokes. So
I hope I get this one because I'm going to feel really bad if I don't.
What cheese do you use to coax a bear out of the woods?
Cheddar, Swiss. I'm trying to go through like all the list of cheese. Colby.
My coworker got it immediately because it's a French cheese. She was like, "Is it French cheese?" I was like, "Yes," and then she was like, "Oh," and she immediately said it. It's like,
okay, I'm not going to get it again, am I? These are sophisticated cheese jokes. There's like another level of cheese.
Well, I do work at a French company. I need to know my cheeses. It's
okay.
Imperative. Actually, this one is like very common in France. And just a second. I'm going to get this sorted. Bold italics. So this is actually good to note. This is how you customize a rich text field in Prismic. And the rich text field is really powerful. So you can put all these options in, and then on your backend in your code, you can actually customize how these will be rendered. So by default, our kits will render like a bold element with a strong tag, but you could choose to render it however you want. You could render it as Markdown. You could render it with React components, with Vue components. Sooner or later, you'll be able to render it with Svelte components. So it's really dynamic, and that's because it doesn't store the data as HTML. It doesn't store it as XML. It doesn't store it as Markdown. It stores it as like a JSON data structure that's very portable and can be parsed really quickly in different ways, which is a pretty cool feature that we actually invented, like when Prismic launched in 2013. This kind of data format. Yeah. So that's going to be some text, and then there's going to be a lot of emojis in this project. So this is the first emoji that we'll use. Add an emoji here. What kind of cheese do you use to coax a bear out of the woods? Come on, bear. Camembert.
Camembert. Yeah, I'd never heard of it.
It is, so Camembert it's like a wheel of cheese. Like you might see it at like a cocktail party or something. Yeah. It's just that. It's a wheel of cheese. And you slice it in like a pizza, basically. You slice it like that. And you take slices out of it. And in France, the actual official name for a pie chart is a Camembert.
Because it looks like a wheel of cheese sliced up.
That's just what they call it. They just call it a Camembert.
All these nice, fun things that I'm learning today. All the cheeses I have to go try after this. I'm going to have my meeting in my ear and just go eat some cheese.
Yes. Just go to Costco and just raid the cheese section.
Costco isn't close enough to me. We have a Sam's here in town, but no, we don't. I mean, it's like 30 minutes away. That's too far for me to try.
I've never been to Sam's, which feels like I should have.
Probably not. It's like Walmart's version of Costco, which is interesting that Costco was like Kmart's version, and Kmart is kind of gone now.
Oh, is Costco related to Kmart somehow?
I thought it was. Like growing up, I assumed that it was. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Chat can correct me if I'm wrong. That's usually how that works. I get comments on like, that's not right.
Nice to have folks in there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just going to copy paste this in. What we're going to do here is just render some text. Pico offers a nice styling for the article element. So I'm just going to let Pico handle that. We're using Flexbox to just put an emoji in the top left corner and then the text in the rest. I think that's pretty straightforward.
I'm struggling with the name of it. The Svelte syntax for the class, like the dynamic class thing there. What's it called?
The class shorthand, I think.
It's got a name that I'm failing on.
I haven't actually put that in the content model yet. I'll do that next. Import text box from
that's directed. That's it.
Oh, wow. I never would have gotten that. And then text box. Text box. There we go.
Okay.
So now we've got a text box.
Yeah. Call out section there.
Yeah.
With a little emoji on it.
Yeah, that's all. And then I'm gonna add, so we can add labels to our slices so that we can like make different slight variations on them.
Okay.
So on this one, I'm gonna say emoji right and emoji left. Save that. Hope I did that correctly. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to put, if I save that with the emoji at the right. There we go. So now we can vary it. Yeah.
Sweet.
So like, let's just break this up a little bit, just so we can like see them side by side. Do you have a favorite emoji?
Oh, not one of the standard ones. My favorite one is like the Pikachu wave in Discord.
Oh yeah.
Nitro, but like the standard ones, maybe the wave, like for the sirens, the little wave. Yeah.
This one or oh yeah, for
the
sirens,
actual wave. Yeah. That was a running joke on syntax for a while because I don't even remember how it started, but somebody waved by and it was like it did a wave like that.
Oh, that's cute.
We still do that in the Level Up Tutorials Discord sometimes. Just when you're saying bye to people, you just use the wave symbol.
I love that. It feels very poetic.
It's like an inside joke at this point. Like if you didn't hear it at the time, you're just left out of why that's happening.
You're just like, okay, it's very oceanic in here.
Yeah.
Very stormy. Okay, so we can see we've got these two variations on our slice, and now we've got 3 elements that we can use to build pages. And I'm gonna add one more, so we're doing well for time. The third one I'm going to add is just going to be an image with bullet points, only the bullet points are going to be emojis. So that I'm calling this the actual bullets on the list will be emojis. I said there's going to be a lot of emojis. So first of all, let's model this in Prismic.
I apologize to everyone. I must not have put the YouTube link on our events this week. I don't know. I've gotten 2 messages that people didn't know where to join. So I apologize if you've came later and did not get the link to the YouTube. I know I put it on Twitter, but I must have not done it correctly on the Discord events.
Okay. Okay. So what do I need for this? So Prismic handles images in a really cool way. I really like this. The images are served through the ImageX API. I don't know if you know ImageX. It's similar to Cloudinary and image host.
I had heard of this before, but I've never used it. So this is awesome.
So they just provide a backend for images with all these they have an API for like image optimization and formatting and transformation.
So we just did a stream with Cloudinary last week, and so these are their transformations. So that's kind of like the transformations you can do in Cloudinary, sort of. Yeah,
I'm sure it's very similar. Yeah. Oops, no, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Yeah, so that's built in. You don't have to do anything. That's just how.
Oh, sweet.
That's just
How
how
it
Prismic serves
works.
images. Yeah. And you'll see, I'll show you, you have access to all those transformations through our development kits. So this is going to be called Emoji. We're going to use another emoji. And emoji. And
So we have a really good question too. So just real quick, this seems like great for smaller page-based content layouts. Do you have a solution for managing content for something like a 300-page technical manual or maybe something larger like that?
Oh man, that's most of our clients. We are used a lot in the enterprise sector, and the product is designed with large teams in mind. So I think it's fine if I show you. I'm gonna take you into our documentation repository just to give you a look at this. So this has hundreds of documents and I don't know, 10, 20 contributors. We've got a pretty robust tagging system. We've got a search. You can filter by author, filter by document type. You can also create collections that like automatically filter documents based on like multiple filters. It's got history, version control. If you want to like make a bunch of changes all at once for like a product release or a product update, you can you're getting a peek behind the scenes at our, here's our yeah, actually I can show you this. This is our the technical reference for the SvelteKit, the Svelte package.
Oh, nice.
That we're using right now. So we're editing 3 documents at once, and when I click publish on this, it will publish all 3 of these documents at the same time. So like, for instance, I have this sidebar that links the technical reference. So it'll publish the change to the sidebar at the same time as it publishes the technical reference, so I don't wind up with broken links. So it's a great tool for working with big teams and large repositories. I think it works pretty well. And we have like a lot of big clients who are doing that kind of work.
Very cool. Thank you for showing that. I don't mean to derail, but questions are important, especially like that. I think that's awesome to show that off.
Yeah.
So.
We're going to do a little bit of magic with this one. If you don't allow multiple paragraphs and we only allow a p tag, all the content gets rendered as a paragraph element. But we're going to
paragraph.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
By default, and there's no way around that. But we are going to do some magic on the back end to transform it to a list element.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's all. We've got an image, we've got an emoji, we've got one image, and then we've got this repeatable zone where we can add a list of items, and each item will have an emoji and a bullet, like some bullet text. So let's go back and create some content. The other cool thing that Slice Machine does, and again, I know Slice Machine isn't available for Svelte yet, but we're
crossing our fingers soon.
The other cool thing that it does is that whenever you create content models, it automatically creates mock data for that model. So as soon as you've created the model, you can actually preview the component with the mock data. So you don't need to do this process of like adding content to your documents and then doing the query. So I'm just putting in an image, and then I like costume parties. I've never been to a costume party, actually.
I have not either, I don't think. I guess like Halloween parties here, but...
Yeah, I've been to maybe 1 or 2 Halloween parties, but I've never like done a really good costume, I don't think. And now, so this takes us back to project. And again, we get this warning, could not find a component for slice type image bullets. So, sorry, we've already got that. Image bullets here. And again, yeah, I'll just copy paste this and walk you through the code a little bit. So this is our Prismic Helpers to render stuff in the DOM. This is the slice that we're receiving. So I mentioned that I'll save this so that we can actually see the final product. Oh, need to import it. Has everyone heard what kind of cheese is in yours?
What kind of cheese is in where?
Is not your cheese.
Is not your cheese.
Have you never heard that one?
Nope. I haven't heard any of the cheese jokes, apparently.
What kind of cheese isn't yours? Nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese, though. I have heard that in like other contexts. Okay, that was funny. The other ones I just didn't get. It's not that they weren't funny. It's just that I did not get them.
Well, it's all about what kind of cheese you like, and nacho cheese is probably the best cheese.
Nacho. Our chat got it. They got me. Yeah, nacho cheese.
So this is our image bullets component. I'll just show you. So we have these methods for handling images. They take an image from Prismic, and there's one called as image source, and it will just return an ImageX image URL. But you can actually add modifications. So like, I think if I do like HTN 80, I think that's what it's called. Yeah. So this creates like a halftone effect. So that's like actually the image coming from ImageX. ImageX is applying this effect to it. Does it look better if I do like that? Yeah, it looks like a newsprint kind of thing. Or I could do like sat 0, and that will make it black and white because I'm turning the saturation off.
Yep.
So that's what that's one of the things that these image helpers do. But the other thing that they do is that they return a source set attribute. So this returns an object with two properties. The first property is just the original image URL, and the second property is a source set. And then down here, I just inject those in my image element along with my alt text. And I get a responsive image from ImageX. So it's optimized, responsive, formatted properly. We're running really low on time. So,
and the person that asked the question actually was talking more about content itself, I guess. They asked if you decompose it by section, chapter, or is it like all the same single content object and then you do different things from that?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Decompose it by like section or just by section, chapter, or is it all in the same single content object? So you can edit the content on a granular level. So like here, this is one page. Let me know if I'm answering your question. This is one page, and every slice is a section of the page. But then, what we would do if we had more time is go back here and add more pages. And you can create different custom types for different types of pages. You can create a custom type for like a header or for like your site settings. You can also create different locales if you have an international website. And we provide all the instructions for rendering your content for different locales. But
so the
let me know.
actual content would probably be different on the pages anyway. So that would have to be written individually.
Sorry, say that again.
So the actual content on the page would be different. Like that would have to be written manually in different sections. But the things that are reused, like the header and the footer and like some of those things in the page layout, and those things can be reused easily in Prismic.
Exactly. And if you wanted to make an entire user manual, there's a lot of different ways you could do that. The way we do it in our docs, and I mean, this is the repo that I just showed you here. That's this one. We have a document for... It's probably taking a second because I'm, pardon me.
Bless you.
I'm in development mode.
Oh, okay.
But every page of our docs is modeled with a different document. but like there's some flexibility here. Like for instance, if you had a really, really long page, you could break it into multiple documents if you needed to. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And you could, stitch multiple documents together for one page. Like if that was the problem you were facing with like a user manual. I think, and Brian, if you want to know more about this, feel free to shoot me a message on Twitter, on the Prismic forum, on GitHub, anywhere, and I can talk more about like how you might model a ambitious project like that.
I will link your Twitter again. I did at the beginning, but I will do that again right now. And I mean, I think we got a really good demo there. We saw a lot of the features of Prismic. Do you have that link to the Stackblitz too, so I can get that out?
Oh yeah. Let's share that. Copy URL. I'll just drop it in the YouTube chat there. Is overview a different document from setup Prismic? Yes, it is. Overview just kind of explains a little bit about Prismic and the integration, and then setup is the actual installation. Yeah, so what we're doing here, the HTML, so the magic that I was talking about earlier, we've got an HTML serializer, which is, an HTML serializer is typically an object, and this is kind of roughly what it looks like. It takes, the key identifies each type of element. So you could have a paragraph, you could have heading 2, you could have strong, and it returns, or it has a method that returns the markup for that element. So you can customize how you want any element rendered. Oh. Here, I'm making it kind of like a function rather than just an object, because I want to pass it the emoji that we're using for the bullet point. So I'm passing in the emoji, and I'm using list style type to make that emoji the bullet or the dot for the list item. And then inside I'm passing the children. So that's how I'm kind of making these proper semantic lists with emoji styling. And then when I call as HTML, I'm just calling this HTML serializer function on each list item and passing this HTML serializer to the as HTML really function.
Fancy. And that link that you shared, I don't know if it actually went into the chat. I don't know if there's maybe it on your end, because I don't see it on my end.
I will send it to you. I will send it straight to you.
I wonder if links just get blocked automatically. So I will.
I've had that problem actually. Yeah, I've had that happen in YouTube quite a bit. Yeah, so that's, again, aside from the HTML serializer, I think this is all pretty familiar. We're rendering the image, which is responsive and optimized, and then we're rendering our list of bullets. And then we've just got some styling to make it look nice. Of course, to style the list items, we need to use the global tag because they're children in the component scope.
Yeah, and what we talked about earlier, where if we had time to refactor this and put that in the layout, you can use like a global CSS file in the layout, and then you wouldn't have to use the global tag there too. So either way,
I can show you. Let me see. I'll show you what my final project looked like, because I'm going to let you go to your meeting.
That would be cool.
These are the notes I've been cheating off of. Let that load. Basically, all I did is refactor that to a layout, added a component called UID. Oops. Let's open that, see if it's working. Yeah, there we go. Let's open this so we can see the full thing. I added the nav item. There we go. And made it a multi-page website.
This is a nice little portfolio page that, I mean, you practically got the pieces of it put together in less than an hour.
Yeah.
Straight from the CMS. I love that.
And then the point of Prismic and the point of Slices is that this is like, it's a really rich layout, but it's very intuitive to like rearrange and build and kind of make these pages longer. Again, we could manage this nav menu in a config so that you could edit the nav menu too. So there's a lot you can do. It's really powerful.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Sam, for showing us this. I'm very excited to try Prismic now. I wanted to get into slices, and now I'm even more excited now that I've seen them. So it was so nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us. We have another one of, it's going to be a Svelte talk, but we ended up having 2 in May because of scheduling. So Danny Sandoval is going to come and do the story behind the unofficial Svelte newsletter next week, and I'm excited to hear the secret story, spicy stuff. So
that's awesome. Danny's great, and that newsletter is great.
Yes, it is. And I agree. And I will catch everyone later. I'm going to jump off to my meeting. So I will see y'all next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.